it's difficult. So no agreement with the EU, but
all right, welcome back from that break. Joining me live to bring you all the sporting stories emanating from sports this morning is Bakalo. Bakalo is a sports pundit in the South region, Port Harcourt precisely. But you're welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mr. Tempo. I'm glad to be here once again.
So glad to be here. What's it feeling like after the African Cup of Nations?
Well, you know, so much to talk about it because we all saw what transpired, and you know, with all hope dashed away, what we were early thinking was that Nigeria was going to have the trophy, you know. But you know, in analogy, you saw all these issues surrounding we having a second position in Nations Cup. It's a very big dash on us, you know. Nigeria is a nation of football, but you know, hiring the right man to do the job and assembling the players, you know, it's another big task. So you can see what happened. If you ask me, I will tell you that, you know, since I've known Super Eagles from my age of, I don't know how to explain it, you know, I have never known Super Eagles to be a defensive team, a football team, you know. So I was surprised when the Portuguese came and gave us that kind of pattern, you know. It's really unbelievable because...
The pattern in the finals, so to say.
Not in the finals.
No, but that pattern has helped us go to the finals, isn't it?
Well, I won't say it has helped us. You know, in everything you do, there must be this lucky approach. You might be lucky, but there are things you don't merit. But for one circumstance to the other, luck can be on your side. If you ask me from day one and the beginning of the tournament, I will tell you that we have been moving forward, you know, from stage to stage due to luck. If you ask me, I call it luck, you know. Just like we always say, there's no God in football, you know. If you play well, you win, you know. So that has been what it is, you know. Super Eagles have known them as a wing playing team. They operate from the wing and midfield. But I was surprised we weren't having that intention of scoring goals. We want to defend. If you defend and you don't get goal, how does it work? Now, Tempo, from the beginning of the tournament, the group stage, up to where they got to semi-finals, we never scored more than one goal. Am I right? So what does that tell you? And the goals we had was just a lucky goal. I can count them for you. It just, do I call it management goal or what? You know, it's just, somebody gave a nod and the ball enters the net. Penalty. We didn't show that class of working out the goals before getting the goal. We didn't have such precision in the team. So I was really, really surprised. You know, people say Jose Pesero has this Moriho pattern of play, defensive, you know. No problem playing defensive, but you must also have your counter attack. You must approach the goals. Now, what happened in the semi-finals, if you ask me? You can see from the points Super Eagles were losing 2-1. What happened? The game changed. They came out to attack. There were several attempts to get goals. But if they had started on that note from the beginning of the game, I don't think we would have lost that trophy.
Okay.
You know? So on the other hand, you see that if you ask me, Tempo, I have never cherished Posero kind of football. I don't. The reason is because, you see, there are things, you know, there are certain things or matches you use in knowing teams that will go far in a tournament or that will do well. You can now beat your chest. Now, for instance, against Sao Tome, right? We played a 1-1 draw here in Akpabio International Stadium, Uyo. When we left to go and play Zimbabwe, right? We played a 1-1 draw. These are lowly rated countries. You know, it's not country like you said, the North American countries where you have Algeria.
Lesotho and Zimbabwe.
Yeah, Lesotho, sorry. Lesotho. You know, it's not a country where you have the North Africans. Egypt, Algeria, Morocco, and the rest of them. You know, so such lowly rated country against Nigeria, Super Eagles. If I'm not mistaken, Nigeria had the best professionals in this Nations Cup. But what happened? We could not emerge as a scoring team. So I think the young man need to go back to Portugal and or seek other places.
We'll talk about that. I mean, we'll look at the AFCON. We'll review the post-evaluation of the Super Eagles and a lot of stuff. And trust me, we'll also delve into critical areas of the African population, especially the the first 11 as published by CAF yesterday. But let's take a GP. Let's take the news from we have, and before we delve to the AFCON part, then we'll come back to Pesero, because a lot of us have been calling for the sack of Pesero. And I think that we look at the terms of contract and see if he should be there. But Tokyo Olympic Games 100-meter finalist Enoch Adegoke in athletics and veteran Kotamela Patience Okon-George topped the list of 89 home-based athletes expected to compete at this year's national trials due to begin on Friday at the Stephen Keshi Stadium in Asaba, Delta State. Trials scheduled for 5 days will be used to select track and field athletes that will represent Nigeria at the Games in Ghana next month. Also listed among the 89 athletes are Emmanuel Consider, Commonwealth Youth Games 100-meter silver medalist Justina Eyekpo Bayon, Blessing Ogundiron, Africa Under-20 silver medalist Musibol Adebisi and Sikiru Adeyemi, quartet of Ogundiran Victory and Praise Ofoku are listed for trials in the women's 100. In the men's 100-meter, consider Adekalo, Bakorode, and Sunday Akington were all shortlisted just as Adegoke. Also, Owo Eya, Ayotomilola, Tomitope Olosison, Adekawumi, Adesayo, and Blessing Akintoya are penciled down for the women's 200-meter, while in the men's 200-meter, Adebisi Israel Sunday, Ojeli, Emmanuel, and Afoke Oshashon a battle for a place in team's Nigeria track and field event. Okon George, Esther Elo, Choma Nwachuku, and Folashade Olotu will compete in the women's 400-meter trials, while Johnson Namani, Sikiru Adewale, Sewakon, and Samson Nathaniel will just over place in the men's 400-meter. Meanwhile, the Athletics Federation of Nigeria is yet to release a criteria for selecting athletes for the African Games, but the body President Tinubu Kokowa stated that the federation would prepare home-based athletes for the upcoming African Games in anticipation of the absence of some of the overseas-based athletes. These athletes include Toby Amoshon Esebrume, Sade Olatoye, Chukwebuka Enekwachi, and Favor Ofile. This year's African Games will hold from March 8th to 23rd across the 3 cities in Ghana, Accra, Kumasi, and Cape Coast. The Athletics Federation of Nigeria are preparing. Tinubu Kokowa said that it looks like home-based players are going to, fail out because big names like Esebrume, Toby Amoshon may not just come for this one, But then, from the names I've listed so far, it looks like if we can get home-based to represent us, it won't be a bad idea too. But the thing is, are we adequately prepared, to harness these talents that we have for the African Games coming up next month?
The problem of Nigeria in every tournament or game is late preparation, and most times when you try to make inquiries, everything centers on fund, So I think if we have early preparation, we'll be able to do well at the tournament. It's just a matter of time and well articulated. Talking about home base and the professionals, you see, you must start from here. That is talking about, do I say 80–90% of us here? You must start here, and if you're lucky, you'll be able to move to abroad. Except you were born abroad and you were able to come up with such talent. And on that note, maybe you say, I really want to represent my country. And if you look at it the other side, I don't want to say nobody wants to represent Nigeria. Do you understand? It's about the love you have for your motherland, But on the other side, we always have poor treatment for our current and retired athletes. So it's going to be a good thing because breakers are bound to be broken. Some of us might be able to go there and from home base and you become professional. So you really have to put in your best. It's all about interest and zeal.
zeal and interest are the hallmark for success. And if you want to achieve success, then it starts here. I believe that if they are saying we want to help the home base to grow, enhance them, I think it's an opportunity for them to also shine. You never can tell who will be the next star that will be churned out from this All-African Games. But one man is already setting the pace. 19-year-old Nigerian athlete Ekenem Consider the 100-meter time of 10.10 seconds has been ratified by the World Athletics as the leading time of the year. Consider a Nigerian athlete stormed to the time to win the men's 100-meter at the inaugural dynamic outdoor meet held on Saturday at the Nigerian Navy Sports Center, Ojo in Lagos. It was the first competition for home-based athletes this season. Olympian Enoch Adegoke came second in 10.28 seconds, while Adekalo Fakoli was third in 10.30 seconds. 17 days after, we have clearly seen that that has displaced a record set by a Cameroonian, 10.13 seconds, who ran in that also 21 days earlier than that. Adegoke is 10th in the world leading time, and it looks like we have a Nigerian now who in the whole world this year has posted 10 seconds. This is the highest so far in the world, except someone breaks it. It is kind of difficult to really say that this Nigerian will hold this record tightly, and it's good when Nigerian holds record because 10.10 it doesn't come cheap at all. This guy must really be a speed star. I hope that he can continue consistent. That's for me the challenge that comes with it. But away from that, let's talk about some not sharing news at all, because it looks like the World Anti-Doping Agency WADA has stated it has referred Nigeria and Venezuela to the Court of Arbitration for Sports over alleged non-compliance of their anti-doping agencies with WADA's rule. WADA said it filed last week 2 separate requests for arbitration with the Court of Arbitration for Sports for the 2 cases. The 2 national agencies were sanctioned in November for not addressing what the Montreal-based doping watchdog said were severe critical requirements to their anti-doping programs. That resulted in them losing their rights within the organization, no longer being permitted to host major events as such that it's not a good news at all. Now, they've reported Nigeria not to be cooperating with WADA. I mean, when doping is not encouraged in sports.
Yes.
And if Nigeria is acting or not playing to their gallery, it looks like something is fishy. But now that they've reported us now, I think it's not a good news at all. I'm wondering how we're going to respond to this, because if there are things ongoing, I mean, our NADA here should be able to express themselves, but now they are denying that nothing is happening. Is it that there is a cockroach in our cardboard that is making us not to comply to the rules of WADA?
It's always been said that, you see, when your mind is free, you fear no accusation, right? And nobody knows why. But some people who don't want their name to be having that dent of doping. You saw what happened in Nation Cup. Let me use this as an instance, where Osime and the rest of them, where they were all tested and the rest of it. So I think if they have such requests for any athlete, I think the athlete should come down and give that time for he or she to be tested and see these things. This modifies and checks the game. When you so know, it means, just like you said, you have cockroach in your cupboard. So if there's such, I think something is fishing behind. So for you to portray the country's image, you need to present yourself for the test.
You need to present yourself for the test, and that's what we are craving here. I mean, you cannot deny that fact. But away from that, about 100 players from the 6 geopolitical zones of the country will be vying for honors at the 5th Nigeria Cricket Association under 17 championship, which runs from today to February 19th in Abuja. The matches will be played at the Twin Cricket Overs at Package B of the Moshood Abiola National Stadium in Abuja. Each zonal team is formed from players that represented various states during the zonal elimination, which ended a few weeks ago. The technical director of Nigerian Cricket Federation, Joshua Ensure, said the championship had become the biggest national event for budding stars, adding that the quality of the competition has also positioned it for growing as traveling spectatorship among cricket enthusiasts. We cannot stop talking about cricket here, because it looks like Nigeria is the new team when it comes to cricket. A lot of overs across the country. We even have one at the City and all that. So let's hope to see how it goes. And of course, many more to really bring to the doorstep. But then, to tennis, where Nigeria table tennis legend Segun Toriola will lead the team Nigeria to this year's International Table Tennis Federation World Team Table Tennis Championship in Busan, South Korea. Now, the World Table Tennis Contender Tournament, which also serves as a qualifying tournament for the Paris 2024 Olympic Games, hosts from February 16th to 25th. According to a statement from the Nigerian Table Tennis Federation, Toriola was picked to replace former national coach Nosiru Sule based on his wealth of experience and his cordial relationship with most of the top players in the national team. At the Busan WTT tourney, the Nigerian men's team will face Japan, Chinese Taipei, Czech Republic, and Madagascar in Group E. Group 8. In the women's category, the Nigerian team was drawn against Germany, Slovakia, Poland, and Mexico. The 8th group of 5 countries will be aiming to advance to the knockout rounds. Each group will play a round-robin encounter with each team facing off against each other in the group stages. After the round-robin, the top 3 teams from each group will advance to the knockout phase. Meanwhile, Rafael Nadal has yesterday was forced to share his plans to return to anytime soon, as he said that he was not really prepared, and he admitted that he is not ready to compete. At 37, he missed most of last season with a hip injury sustained at the Australian Open before making his comeback at last month's Brisbane International. However, a small muscle tear forced him to pull out of this season's first Grand Slam in Melbourne. 22-time Grand Slam champion now hopes to return to the tour at the Indian Wells Masters in California from March 6 to 17. That was named on the entry list last month for the Qatar Open to be held February 19 to 24th, where he was champion in 2014. He has won a record 14 French Open titles and holds an astonishing 120 win and 2 or 3 losses at Roland Garros. And that won 2 matches in Brisbane in January after a year on sideline. This man is saying, I'm not prepared to come back anytime soon, but he might be back before the Indian Wells next month. Nada, I mean, with this permutation, this is how Roger Federer started, and a lot of person felt that his end is near, and definitely we saw his end. Isn't it time for him to just wave the green flag and say, it's over for me?
Well, yes, just like you said, I was thinking by now Nada would have drew the curtain and say goodbye to the world of international sports on tennis. But it's unfortunate the man is still battling. You know, Tempo, I always I've learned so many things from you. Sometimes you just say it's better to quit when the ovation is high. This is always your language, you know. So I was thinking that Nada will have such a mentality, you know, so that tomorrow you still be out and they still see you as who you used to be. So I think that's the best. I wouldn't say he has not made so much money because, you know, things like this is for a purpose. You want to make money for one project or help people or for retirement. And
maybe you also want to go, I mean, the more he plays, whether he wins or not, it's also going to be more record for him.
Exactly.
So maybe he wants to also put that record.
Probably he has participated like 100 times, you know, things like that.
Those are records now that the person.
Yeah, but one thing they should have at the back of their mind is that record is always broken. Do you understand? It's just like in football. You can see Haaland scoring here and there. So record must be broken. If record cannot be broken, that means history is dead. So that is it.
All right, history is there. Well, let's see if Nadal in the coming year, but it looks like this year might just be his last year when it comes to professional tennis. Yeah. But away from that, former world #1 Naomi Osaka is into the quarterfinals of a tournament for the first time in nearly 2 years. The 26-year-old reached the last 8 at the Qatar Open after her opponent Lucia Surenko withdrew because of the match. Before the match, through injury, Osaka returned to tennis last month after giving birth to her daughter Shai in July. The run in Doha is her best since reaching the finals of the Miami Open in April 2022, losing to Iga Swiatek. Let's move on now, and of course, we'll have some more to talk about in the world of tennis. It looks like a lot is happening. Of course, Italy's Jannik Sinner beat Botic van de Zandschulp in his first match since claiming a maiden Grand Slam title at the Australian Open last month. The Spaniard, who is 22-year-old, started his winning run in Melbourne with a straight win against the same opponent and did so again yesterday in the first round of the Rotterdam Open, where he defeated him. The top seed needed just an hour and 27 minutes to wrap up a 6-3 victory to set up a last 16 meeting with Francis Monfils. He defeated Daniel Medvedev in last month of Australia Open, and looks like he might just go all the way to the finals. Can he achieve that? Well, he will rise to a career high third in the world ranking if he can go one step further this year. Maybe get to the finals, win this particular one, and let's see how far. And then to Formula One, emotional Lewis Hamilton admits it felt emotional truly and sorry to take part in the final Formula One car launch of his Mercedes career yesterday. Hamilton is a seven-time Formula One champion and will leave Mercedes at the end of this season in a stunning switch to Ferrari. I mean, nobody believed that Mercedes will leave Lewis Hamilton will leave Mercedes. But I mean, the man feels that he needs to go. He still has a lot to accomplish in Formula One. But switching to Ferrari, one of their rival, was not many persons saw it coming. Your take on Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton? Can he win a title this season with Mercedes? Because I mean, how will he even feel? You've already announced that you're going to leave the team, and you're still going to. So for me, I don't know, but it looks like if he will be working with emotions all through the season. I would have preferred maybe he will not announce it until after close to the end of the season. By that time, he would have achieved his goals, or maybe if he doesn't, he would have been looking at it. But now he has announced that he will be going to the other side, Ferrari. It looks a little bit emotional for me.
Temple, when you move to a new job, you must put in all your best to show the stuff you are made of, So if he is leaving to Ferrari, it opened doors for more achievements because, wherever you move to, like I said, you would like to leave a legacy. And over time, he has won 7 titles. And I think if you ask me, for who wants to continue and be serious in his career, you need to move, because when you move, you try to conquer and have a new challenge, and more history will be made. And I mean, how will it sound that, how will it sound you achieve this here and you move over here and you achieve this, So I think it's a good thing. That will add more seriousness to his world of business. That's what I think.
Okay, and then of course, when he signed that 2-year contract with Mercedes, it was about 100 million euros, equivalent to 126 million dollars in August. But he has recently, break that clause to seal a move to the Italian team after admitting the prospect of driving in Ferrari red was too hard to turn down. That means it's about the money, that had made him to move, because when there's a kind of money they will.
I'm surprised that this should have been your core reason at the earlier explanation, because you see, nobody does anything for nothing.
True.
One of the most and ultimate reason is for him to make money. So if you are giving better offer somewhere, even when you will fail, you get that money and move over. Do you understand? So I don't blame him. And now let me ask you a question. Assuming Mercedes, decide to offer him something bigger than Ferrari is asking him, what do you think? Do you think he will stay? He will stay. So it's all about money, and it's being said that money makes the world go round. So, and all these sports, they have age limits. At a certain time, you ask yourself, what did I gain? Yes, after so many years. And when you remember that I had opportunities to do better and I never grabbed it, then it becomes a regret for you. So if it's money that is making him move to Ferrari, I think it's a very good one.
It's a very good one. With that, now let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk football here. The AFCON is our focal point. We look at the Super Eagles setup. We look at a lot of issues, and then also talk about the UEFA Champions League games as well as the Europa Cup games that we play tonight. Don't go anywhere.
Telling him not to counterpunch.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Killing him not to counterpunch.
All right, welcome back from that break. Is the second section of the show, and of course, it's time to talk football matters there. I did mention earlier that our focus is on the the African Cup of Nations, a post-evaluation of Team Nigeria, and of course, what the way forward. I still have Mbakalo here, and you talked about Joseph Pissarro.
Yeah.
That in your own opinion, that he is not good enough because of his tactical evaluation. And I asked you then why you made such comment. And I want to take you back before the African Cup of Nations. Did you believe that Super Eagles can go this far?
Yeah, I never.
Because
Yeah,
I know we're here.
Yes, I never believed they would go far, because I totally condemned their style of play and the rest of it. You know, especially when they had draw with Lesotho and I think Zimbabwe, right? So I knew that there was going to be an issue at the tournament. But like I said, Super Eagles, they were moving from grace to grace. If you ask me, just luck. If you ask me, I'll tell you Super Eagles got to semi-final due to luck. Yes, if you ask me, I'll say probably they played the game very well. They did well, but their formation and style of play did not suit the team, based on the kind of coach they had, who believes in defensive football, okay? But having defensive football does not mean the attack shouldn't be biting. You cannot start a semi-final with countries like Cote d'Ivoire. These are people you beat at the group stage, right? But on the other hand, like I said, winning them at the group stage was out of luck. Everything is luck concerning Super Eagles at the AFCON, you know. But the coach, I mean, you know, he might be a good coach, but his kind of play system, formation, and defensive play does not suit the team. Super Eagles is not a defensive team. We are wingers team. We are teams that bite. We play the tip-tap football of the Brazilians, you know. That's why most times when they meet us, it seems difficult. So what I'm saying in this sense is that, you know, Pissarro, I think he needs to go, because The period of time he has spent with us here.
But according to his terms of contract,
yes,
is to take us to the semi-finals.
Exactly.
That's his term of contract. 1 year contract that will end with the AFCON.
Yeah.
You know, took us to the semi-finals of the AFCON, and he has delivered. He got us even one more step, you know, to the finals. So if you are a member of the NFF,
yes, what will be his fate?
Yes, will you look at, I mean, like you said rightly, not many believe that Pesero can get us to the finals.
Exactly.
So if you are, will you think that you want to, because we saw a different brand of football. In fact, the Eagles that we know, we are not defensive minded, but we saw a defensive minded Eagles that had one of the best defense in the AFCON. You know, so if it's just about the goal scoring, that can be worked on as time goes on. So if you are, don't you think that, okay, you give him another contract and then see what becomes of him?
Well, what you are known with, it's difficult for you to debate because you need to have a holistic study of the new pattern or formation you want to go into. Like I said, the man has been on the defensive side all time of his career, you know. So now, if asking him to switch to attacking kind of football and probably retain his defensive tactics, I think you are giving him a total assignment, if you ask me. I think Pesero should go back to his country and repackage. Maybe any of the African countries can take on him, because if I totally condemn, I know it's football, but playing home here with Lesotho, a draw, and away with Zimbabwe, when you need to qualify and play this tournament, and now you have gone to the tournament, your team cannot score goals. You can't score goals.
But
see, let me tell you something.
You got to the finals
in this AFCON, you see, the kind of play and Pesero kind of pattern made Osimhen look like he's not the African footballer they crowned him. He doesn't look like the point man of Napoli. You know, Osimhen was not really seen. Do you understand? He was not really seen in the
in terms of, are you saying in terms
of I remember in those days when Yakini Rashidi, blessed memory Rashidi Yakini, Rashidi won the highest goal scorer in the qualifier and won the highest goal scorer in the tournament. So what are we talking about? You know? So a player can be restricted to kind of play in the field. I think that is what affected Osimhen. We didn't see that class of Osimhen in Napoli. We never saw it. We didn't see that class of Osimhen in Champions League. We never got to see all that. Yeah, they made the man look as if that he is just there. You see, a good player, a top striker, you see, it's just like Messi and Ronaldo. Let me use them as an example. Anytime, anywhere they go, you see them shining. That's what we expect from
But Osimhen was shining. The only thing is that he was not scoring goals.
That's it. What is he known for?
No, but he's known for goals. But this time around, I mean, because, like he said, maybe without the formation of the team, he had to sacrifice himself for others to be scoring.
Exactly, and you see him most times coming back to come and look for the ball and the rest of it. So Pesero didn't do well to our kind of football, not because he didn't win the trophy. Do you understand? Yeah, I know it would have been worse than this if.
But
exactly, maybe at the group stage, because our first match was a very scary one in the group stage. And imagine that we didn't beat Cote d'Ivoire, you know, then we would have started struggling and saying we'll qualify as the best losers team and the rest of it. So nobody wants that in any tournament tempo.
Okay.
You see, Pesero need to go back and do him homework.
Well, a lot of persons are calling for the sack of Joseph Pesero, and Bar is also agreeing that the man, his time has elapsed and he should go. But then the truth is, the NFF are his employers, and the onus lies in their feathers, you know, to make a decision on his stay or his sack. But if you ask many too, many would think that a renewal of his contract would be very ideal for the Super Eagles. Even if I know Mba will not agree to this.
You have not also told me what you have in mind. Let me ask you now, what do you have in mind about Pesero?
For me, I think that the man has surpassed his feet. I think that the man may not be good, but you can never tell. I mean, this is African competition is the biggest competition in the continent of Africa, and I think that if a man makes a claim there, like Nwabali has not played in the setup of the Nigerian system at all. I haven't seen him. And so if you think he's not good enough and he's playing at Chippa United and he now came to the Super Eagles and he's now the best, will you not leave him? Will you not say that leave him, he's just the AFCON? Whereas AFCON is the biggest showcase in Africa. The same thing with tactics. So if we are making case for the players who featured in AFCON, then also make case for Pesero, who has led the team to the finals. If he had won it, will you be saying this now? If he had won the AFCON.
Tempo, while he was progressing to the semi-finals, I was always talking about it anywhere. You could remember the last time I was in your audio studio, and what happened? I said it. A man who does not score, his team does not score goals in the tournament, what do you expect? If peradventure you are being knocked 2-1, 3-1, it means that is the limit. Do you understand? And that is exactly what happened, you know. So it's not like the boys couldn't play football. Like I said, when we were down by 2-1, we started giving them the pressure. Why didn't you use this formation, this pattern at the beginning of the of that same match? I know it was so shameful that people you won at the group stage came to defeat you in the final. And you saw these boys, the Cote d'Ivoirians, they were determined. You know, they had that spirit. You know, I don't believe because you are in your home. I don't believe. Football is football.
If we had played very well, they know that maybe we would have gotten trouble.
Exactly.
But talking about the AFCON Super Eagles trio, William Trosekong, Ademola Lookman, and Ola Aina have been included in the CAF Best 11. Do you think that the Nigerian that is missing out? Do you think maybe Victor Osimhen would have been part of this one?
Yes, with his latest ranking, talking about Osimhen as the African Footballer of the Year, they would have included him. But, you know, so many things placed down. These things are being done by vote. I want to ask you a question, Tempo. If Osimhen had scored goals the way we expected from him,
he would have been
or
here.
being the highest goal scorer,
He would have been here.
He would have been there. So you can see there are other players that rated same with Osimhen due to Osimhen performance in the team. So if he's not in the list, I'm not surprised.
If Osimhen is not in the list, he's not surprised. But let's look at the 11 players that CAF has selected as top 11, you know, in this year's tournament. And clearly, it looks like we're going to see goalkeeper Rowan Williams of South Africa. I think it's for you. You're okay with it?
Yes.
The goalkeeper, or maybe you would have preferred Nwabali.
Well, the South African keeper is he did well.
I mean, it looks like he's an expert when it comes to penalty. Just that we are better off. I mean, we are good enough over him, and that was why he was not nowhere near our shots that day. You know?
Penalty is a game of luck. Anybody that tells you that it's a penalty specialist is a very big lie. It's about calculations, you know. So what I'm saying in the essence is that, you see, even the best players, they miss penalties in big tournaments, World Cup, and Roberto Baggio, I count them, name them, they all lost, most of them lost their penalties. So game of penalty in football, it's a game of luck.
All right, the defender Tiro Sekonga is the man at the center of it all. Another defender, Chancel Mbemba of DR Congo, is the man who, of course, deputizes Trust Ekong in that 4-3-3 formation there. We also have other players, you know, in the midst. Left back Gisland Conan of Ivory Coast. Right back Ola Aina of Nigeria. Look at the midfield. You have Teboho Mokoena of South Africa. Midfielder, the one at the middle of the park, Frank Cassie of Ivory Coast. Left wing, you have Ademola Lookman. Right wing, Yone Wissa of DR Congo, and then striker Emilio Nsue of Equatorial Guinea, the man who scored 5 goals, who is a left back or right back and turned to striker, you know, in this competition. It looks so, but a lot. But let's move now. Time is up, but let's head straight to the UEFA Champions League, where we saw some games yesterday. And the first night we saw Manchester City did the needful against Copenhagen. Real Madrid also won against RB Leipzig. Yesterday we saw clearly how Bayern lost, you know, away from home, and more pressure piling. We saw how Leverkusen defeated them, you know, in the title chase over the weekend. Them losing again in the Champions League. It looks like more pressure on that man, Thomas Tuchel.
Well, I wasn't surprised that Bayern lost to Lazio. You know, I know it would have affected those with the white paper. you know, because every match.
Of course, you think that they should be able to win Lazio.
Exactly. But I want to tell you something. If you look at Champions League this season, Lazio has never lost at home. I think the last time or thereabout, I saw them a 1-1 draw with Atletico Madrid. They never lost at home. So if you come into the history of this Champions League for this season, Lazio has never lost their match at home. So before the kickoff of that match, you know, I wasn't surprised that either they get a draw or they will defeat Bayern. So I think it's football and one of those things. Watch Lazio. They are going to come out strong in this Champions League.
Let's also look at Kylian Mbappe. In masterminded a win for his side, you know, in that encounter there between them. And it looks like he's continuing to do a lot for his side. Kylian Mbappe, regardless of all that played out, he knows that this is his last season, but he will not stop scoring. He scored over the weekend. And now he scored again to ensure that his side have at least one leg in the quarterfinals.
Well, Mbappe has always been known for scoring, but like I say, sometimes you can't tell until you leave your current club to the other side of it. You know, that's why today we see Ronaldo as a hero. He has shown class in all the teams he has gone. Mbappe has ever been in PSG. I think let that deadlock be broken and he moves to other team. We can now give him that accolade like other stars where you have Ronaldo. But he's a good player anyway, and he's a good scorer. And one thing I like about Mbappe, Mbappe is a man with determination. His courage and strength can boost the rest member of the team to do well. You saw it in the last World Cup. So I think he's a player to reckon with. It's a player with force. I think if you ask me, I name him one of the prolific striker of the days.
All right, lastly, this morning, let's take you through the games that were expected in the Europa League today. And there are some games, interesting fixtures that we can bring to you. And these are some of the games that you can lay your hands and maybe get to watch. I think we'll get to see PSG. We're playing that particular one, PSG versus Young Boys. Certainly that game will come up later this evening, 5:45. We're going to see Sporting also against Feyenoord. Galatasaray versus Sparta Prague, Shakhtar Donetsk versus Marseille, AC Milan will host Renault, Benfica versus Toulouse, and Qarabag will travel to play Braha, RC Lens versus CS Freiburg. So these are interesting fixtures you get to keep your eyes on today. Many thanks to you, Mba, for joining us on the show today.
Thank you.
All right, today we'll come away again tomorrow for the last edition of the show this week. But don't forget that we'll be back later this evening to look at the Europa Cup games this evening, and that will be our focus on Come Back for Sports Extraordinary. My name is Ekpo Temple. Stay with us here on Atlantic Television Network. Bye-bye.
Telling him not to counterpunch. Telling him not to counterpunch.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.